Hey guys, Nancy Ann here. Thank you so much for watching me on the Simply Beautiful Sourdough do another score. My husband thought you should see my face, so here is my face. So this design today is, I call it a double paisley. It is my own design, and it's a little bit more complicated than the other ones I've posted so far, although I have done this one before. I'm not talking as much in it because when I talk, I mess up, and I kind of explain that a little bit. But anyway, this is a double paisley, a little bit more work, but it's still a very pretty design, and it's very impressive as long as my oven spring turns out okay. Isn't that always the thing we're also nervous about, is lifting that Dutch oven? So here we go, double paisley score. Thank you so much for watching. If you think to like and comment, I love the comments. It's always fun interacting with people. And if you get any value from this and you have not subscribed, I would feel so honored if you would. Okay, here we go. On with the scoring. So here we are. We're going to be doing a double paisley score. That is my bread sling by Bread Basics. I have an affiliate link down below. You can see Bread Basics. Oh, there we go. Getting centered. I like this one better because it is 9.5 inches wide. That's quite a bit wider than a lot of the other ones. Holds both boules and batards. Again, I have an affiliate link. I wouldn't be an affiliate if I didn't really like the product, and I just earn a small commission. Okay, so I'm going to put that turntable over top of the bread sling that's over top of the boule. That boule, by the way, is 400 grams of bread flour, 65% hydration. I found that works well for scoring. It doesn't tend to kind of flatten out on me. And it's 20% starter. And I'm brushing off any little remnants of rice flour from the Banneton right there, just to make sure I don't make a gummy mess when I do the next thing, which is putting my hand in some water and getting the loaf wet. Now you could spray the loaf. I've just found I feel like I have more control when I get my hand wet and do it this way. I can feel that it's evenly wet. And while I let it soak in just a minute, I am rinsing and drying my hand. And what that does is that keeps it from being super gummy when I go to sprinkle the bread flour on top of it like I'm doing right now. That's just a standard shaker I got online. You can just find a regular old shaker. They're not very expensive, and I'm trying to get it on there as evenly as possible. I am having a little problem with my new tripod getting in the way. I found a tripod for this. We're hoping it'll work better. My husband gave it to me for Christmas for these bread videos because it's getting you down, I think, a little bit closer to the bread than the last one did. Okay, so now my hands, wipe off the hands. This is, again, it's a double paisley score. I always start off with the dull end of just a cheap wooden skewer. You can buy a package of 50 of them for just a couple bucks at the store. And right now I'm scoring my main score. This is going to be the deep one I cut in the middle, and it's kind of an S shape, and there's going to be a paisley on each side. I have found that when I do a score and I don't draw it out first, especially a more complicated one, I just wind up with mistakes all over the place. It's much easier to correct with my finger like I just did and wipe over it and start again, kind of erase, than to have a cut, because once it's cut, you can't go back. So I'm doing my paisley shape now. I know it's hard to see here, and I'm sorry for that, but I'm drawing the paisley shape. Oh, that looks like an area. Didn't have enough flour to make me happy. Kind of on one side of that S. Oops, dropped the. Aren't you glad this bakes at 425 degrees? I dropped my skewer, and so now I'm drawing a paisley shape inside one side of that S shape. Most of my time, I believe, is taken doing the drawing instead of the scoring. And I know for you that can be laborious, but I like to put this in real time so you get an idea of how long this takes me. This is a score I've done 2 or 3 times before. I really like it. I just haven't posted the scoring of it to this video. And there I am again, kind of putting a little more rice flour on an area that was short of it. And I'm drawing that that paisley shape. And I'm doing it on each side. One side, I can tell at this point, one side is going to wind up being, oh, it's going to wind up being not as big as the other, but that's okay. You just can't expect perfection with these. And furthermore, somebody's going to eat them. At least you hope so. It's not going to last forever. And so you don't have to be perfect in these, believe it or not. I mean, somebody's going to eat them. So here we go. I'm probably making the paisley shape within the other paisley shape. And this is, I do one within the other because of what I'm going to do with cutting the little dots. And you'll see that. It's always hard for me when I'm doing these with the camera to figure out exactly, well, what am I trying to say? How much you guys can see and also what angle is best for you. I have to draw with my right hand to put the camera on the left. Okay, now I'm drawing the flower in the middle. I'm just sketching little leaves on petals on the flower. But I have to put the camera on my left because I'm right-handed, but then the right-hand side is away from the camera, and so that always confuses me. So I'm doing a couple of extra little leaves, and I'm drawing the stem. And now I'm going to flip it around. And let's see, have I already done, it looks like I'm doing the, yeah, I'm drawing the leaf. So I've done my double paisleys on both sides now. The paisley within a paisley. And just doing my little leaf. This one went quicker. This one is also, I think, the bigger of the two. So I had a little more room to work, which made it easier. You can see I'm wearing socks. Okay, had to go over and get the kitchen shears. And so now I'm showing you that is a UFO lom. And it's called a UFO lom because it's round and shaped like a UFO. It's my favorite type. I think it's the most multi-purpose. You can do all types of scoring, decorative, and just one main score with it. I have a standard handle style lom, but it doesn't work so well for me. Um, I just like this one better. I can use it for everything. I'm trying to figure out how I can best go about the angle of getting that main score. And I'm also looking at it and making sure what I'm scoring is what I want to score and not something else. So I'm not starting with the main score. I'm starting with the design here. And I'm doing the outside paisley shape. So I'm just keep using a pretty light hand. If I go too deep, it's really going to separate off and it's going to take away from that main score too much. And it does tend to separate a little bit while I'm scoring. So if you go too deep while you do that, you are going to get a whole bunch of splitting while you're scoring, and it can be too much before it hits that oven, and the oven actually does the, as much splitting as it's going to with the heat and humidity from the bread within the Dutch oven. So I want it to, these decorative scores to stay as intact as possible and not split while before it hits the oven. So I'm using a real light hand. And also the heavier a score, um, the more likely to distort your design on these. I hope all that makes sense. And now I'm doing the other score within that. So I'm doing another paisley within. I already did that. Now I'm carving out my, my petals. And again, I'm thinking of, while I'm doing this, I'm thinking of the angle for you guys, but I just have to be able to do it. And all too often, I don't use the fact that I'm using a turntable to my advantage enough. I need to get better at that. I'm not an expert scorer. I'm just somebody who's a little bit further along than many people, and I'm learning. I'm learning too. Gosh, I hope this winds up being a little more detailed when I show it. Okay, so now I'm starting on the other side. I did all of the scoring on the one side before I started on the other. I've tried doing where like I do, the corresponding parts on each side going back and forth, but I tend to get lost on where I am. And that can result in some mistakes. So I've kind of learned with experience to get all the scoring done on one side before I go to the other when I have kind of mirror image type design going on. So now I'm doing the other score inside, just the first one. It's also a paisley inside, and you're going to see why in a minute when I do the little dots. But I'm just trying to keep a real even distance of the inside paisley from the outside paisley. And now I'm going to start in with my little flower, the little petals in the middle. It's kind of a tulipy type look. And again, this is something I just came up with on my own. And I like this one. It makes a real pretty design. It's always real impressive, and it's sort of like my signature score. But feel free to imitate it. If I can be of any inspiration for you, I really do believe that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. And there we go. And now I'm doing the stem. And I didn't do it before because the direction of the tension on that loaf is across the width of the top. And if I do that stem too early, it's really going to start splitting out on me. So now I'm going to go in for the main score. Oh, no, I'm not. Now I'm going to get the scissors and I'm going to make the little clips that make it almost like a polka dot look around that flower in the shape of a paisley. And I'm making sure that I'm fully separated on the outside paisley there. And I always go back and I do little touching up and things. And I always debate later, should I go back with these scissors and like clip the tips of the flowers so they stand out, or just different things. I know when I do that, I'm almost always sorry I did, because it tends to lift off the bread, and I'm kind of a smooth and even kind of gal. So I tend to like the bread where all the design is more down flat. Although there are times when it lifting is good. So there I go again. I'm just making sure I've separated that that paisley shape out enough so that it will be separate from the little dots that I'm clipping. And you just go along and clip them. And I'm trying to come in at a real straight angle with those scissors right there. If you go in sideways, they can lift a little bit, and which is a different look. But I'm trying to stay real straight so that they really are more like, more or less polka dots instead of kind of a lifted porcupine type look to them. But it doesn't matter that much. I mean, this clip design is awful pretty no matter how you do it. So I'm just going all the way around the paisley where the two little designs, so you can kind of see where the shape is starting to take place here. Here we go. So while I'm finishing that up, I just want to say, if you guys could like this video, I'm just getting started. This video is lagging. This channel's more than I thought it would. I would really appreciate it. I love comments. I don't get many comments here, but I like interacting with you and I answer all of them. And if you find that of any value and you haven't subscribed, I would really appreciate it if you would. That really means a lot to me. Like I said, I'm not an expert scorer, but I'm just sharing what I know and what I'm learning as I learn it too. So here we go. Now I'm realizing at this point that my blade's not sharp enough. Right after this, I ordered blades because I realized this was the last double-edged blade that I had. So, but I've got to just deal with it at this point. And so now, regrettably, I have to run over it a second time. I would like to get it done in one fell swoop, although I will say when you're doing an S shape like that, that's difficult. So here I go. And now I'm going, oh, shoot, I messed that up. And I realized I cut too many times. My cut wasn't clean. There was more than one kind of cut along there. It's a little jagged, and I was concerned about how it would bake up. And now you can see I'm really deepening it. I'm making that my main score. So there we go. Now that flour that's around there, I'm going to take a pastry brush and brush that off before it goes in the Dutch oven, so it will be neater. Now here we are, Dutch oven reveal. I got a new one for Christmas. My husband surprised me. I didn't realize this was coming. It's by Amazon Basics. Here we go. Double paisley. Let's see how it... I'm guessing that's not quite as high as I would have liked. It's pretty. It is opening a little bit, but I'm going to guess this was a little bit underproofed. We'll see later. But anyway, that's our double paisley score out of the oven. I'm going to take it out and put it on a cookie sheet. That isn't going to go there because I've got soup cooking there. And we'll brown it and see what happens. So here we are with our double paisley, and each one has a flower inside. I was concerned that this was going to be underproofed, that it was really going to be flat. I'm not too worried about that. It might be slightly underproofed, but I don't think it's bad, and I'll show you why on the other side. Here's the first side with our little flower. There's our split in the middle. Not too bad. And even my mess up with the scoring on the end didn't seem to affect it too much. This line, this stem right here is pretty wide. There's several reasons why that might be. There's more tension here than there was on the other side pulling it. It might be that I scored deeper there than I intended to, although I don't think so. I do think it also has something to do with that lined up with this score here on the pedal. I didn't do them together, but sometimes when it does that, the two of them kind of join forces and make it one big thing that splits. And here's the reason why I'm not too worried about the scoring or the oven proof. Do you see that? I can tell that there's some pretty good holes in there just by looking at the outside. I normally have a pretty tight crumb, which is fine with me, and you can see a little separation there. So this isn't going to be too bad at all. And you can't really tell too bad where I messed up with the scoring, and any mess ups, like I always say, you get to eat the evidence. So there we go. I don't know if this will be sold, given away, or if we'll eat it, but there we are. There is our double Paisley score. There's a shadow, but we'll see it from over top. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one. Bye-bye.